Mrs. Leach. Our lesson today is on adding and subtracting fractions. Our learning targets are: I can estimate differences of fractions using benchmarks. I can add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators using rectangles or symbols. All right, our first example is going to be subtracting fractions with rectangles. So it's just like when we did adding with rectangles. Our problem is 2/3 minus 1/5. So our first step is to estimate with benchmarks. So I know that 2/3 is close to 1/2, and that 1/5 is close to 0. So my estimate is going to be that it is less than 1. So I should not need more than one rectangle. All right, I'm going to choose the right size rectangle for my second step. So since I have thirds and fifths, I'm going to do a 3 by 5 rectangle. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to shade in 2/3. So divide my rectangle into thirds, shade in 2 of those thirds. And then since I'm subtracting, I'm not going to add the 1/5, I'm going to subtract it. So here's how we do that. I'm going to use a different color, and I'm going to look at what size fifths would be. Fifths goes the other way. So those are fifths. There are 3 square units in a fifth. So that means that I need to subtract 3 units from what I have already shaded in. So I can use my eraser and subtract 3 of the ones that I already shaded. I accidentally erased this part. So what I'm left with is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 what? Let's see, I've divided my rectangle into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 7/15 is what I have left. That is my answer. So I want to go back to my estimate to make sure my answer is reasonable. Is 7/15 less than 1? It is, so I know my answer is reasonable. All right, now we're going to learn how to use symbols to add and subtract fractions. Our first step again is to estimate. So 2/3 and 3/4 we're adding. And so I know that 2/3 is close to 1, 3/4 is halfway between 1/2 and 1/2. So I may need more than one rectangle. So we're going to say between 1 and 2 rectangles. So first I need, or I guess we're not doing rectangles, but our answer will be between 1 and 2. So first I need to choose a common denominator. The easiest way to do that is to look at the denominators I have, thirds and fourths, and I can multiply them because I know that both 3 and 4 will go into those. So 3 times 4 is 12. Let's do my equal signs here. I'm going to use my common denominator of 12 to find equivalent fractions for each of my fractions I have started with. So I do 4 times what equals 12? 4 times 3 equals 12. I do the same to the top. 3 times 3 equals 9. Then I do that with this problem. I find an equivalent fraction for this number. 3 times what equals 12? 3 times 4. Do the same to the top. 2 times 4 equals 8. Now, this is an addition problem. I always circle my operations so I remember if I'm adding or subtracting. So I'm adding these two. So I'm going to now add 8 twelfths plus 9 twelfths. I'm able to add these now because they have the same denominator. You can't add them if they don't have the same denominator. All right, so our next step is to add those together. So our denominator is 12. Add up 8 plus 9, and I get 17. Right now, that's an improper fraction. So to make that a mixed number, we can do this. Take 17 minus 12, and we get 5. So because 12 twelfths is 1 whole, we're taking away 1 whole and see what fraction we're left with. So we have 1 whole, that's 12 twelfths, and then we have 5 left over, so it's 1 and 5 twelfths is our final answer. Both of these are correct, but this one is a proper fraction, whereas this is not. All right, one more example. Do the same process, except now I'm going to circle my operation. It's subtracting. So if we estimate 4/5 is really close to 1 whole, and 3/4 is halfway between 1/2 and 1 whole. So if we're taking away, we're probably going to end up with something less than 1. So it would be 1 minus 1 or 1 minus 1/2. So our answer would be between 1/2 and 1. Okay, so we have to find a common denominator. So I write my numbers underneath each other, 4/5, 3/4. A denominator that 5 and 4 both go into. If we do 5 times 4, it would be 20. So 4 times what equals 20? 4 times 5. Do the same to the top. 3 times 5 equals 15. Then up here we do 5 times what equals 20? 5 times 4. Do the same to the top. 4 times 4 is 16. Now remember, this is subtracting, so I'm going to rewrite my equivalent fractions here. 16/20 minus 15/20. So my denominator stays the same, and I subtract my numerator. 16 minus 15 equals 1. And there's nothing wrong with that problem, that answer. That's a proper fraction. 1/20 is our answer. If we check our estimate to make sure our answer is reasonable, it is. It is less than 1. And that is it.